I personally believe that physician-assisted suicide should be legalized. Now, as heartless as that may seem, I do have good reasoning. And instead of humans prolonging imminent death and suffering, people should be given the option to end their suffering with this service. I will refer to it as PAS. So a good notable example of a person who used their rights and actually did this is Robin Cavendish. He was a British man, and he had a beautiful life, a beautiful wife. She was about to have a baby, and he contracted the polio virus, which paralyzed him from the neck down, and he couldn't even breathe on his own for the rest of his life, and he had to live the rest of his life on a ventilator. And when the ventilator began to cause bleeds, instead of him drowning in his own blood, he opted for physician-assisted suicide. I think that that was a very notable and noble thing for him to do. Instead of, having a slow, painful death that your child and wife would have to watch, you could die peacefully. You could die knowing that everything was okay. Having your last memories be happy rather than, I can't catch my breath, and dying in that way. That is excruciating and unimaginable for me. And I can relate the topic to myself because my Mimi, about a month ago, she had cancer and dementia, and she was on her deathbed, and she was on hospice for 2 weeks. And no matter how much morphine they gave her, she would still wince and cry in pain, wanting it to be over. And the more and more morphine they gave her, the higher her fever got. And it was a bad thing all around, not only for her, but for us, to watch her go through that. And I don't think that that's something that anybody should go through. But eventually the fever pushed her over the edge. So honestly, I think that's much worse than allowing a person to choose their death with lethal injection. Now, I'm sure that everyone would agree that we don't want anyone that we care about or that we love to suffer. So instead of, allowing them to go through something like my Mimi did or Robin Cavendish did, you can opt for them to die happily and with peace, and with dignity. I think that every person has that right, and they should be able to use it. And I know that lots of people would say that that's murder, that's wrong, but I really don't think that it's murder, because it's going to be the person choosing it, not the doctors or the family. And I really don't think that the doctor should be held, necessarily accountable as a murderer whenever it was the patient's choice. And of course, the patient should undergo several mental evaluations, and the family should be on board with it, and the physician should be on board with it. And they would have to be terminally ill or in a significant amount of pain to exercise this right. And obviously, if they don't have the mental capacity, then sadly it shouldn't be offered, because who are we to take somebody's life without them having a say in it? I think it should be completely the patient's choice. So almost like DNRs, I think that it should be something that's maybe set in place for future reference. And if it doesn't need to be acted upon, then amazing. And if it does, then, you kind of have it on standby like a DNR. Now, I understand that most people would say that that is terrible as far as physicians go, because the physician's main goal is to be a healer, and it would defy the Hippocratic Oath for them to kill someone, because the Hippocratic Oath is saying that they will do no harm. But I think that a person writhing in pain in front of you and allowing it to happen, no matter how much pain medication you give them, they are going to feel something. That is harm. That is pain. That is cruel. So I think that, a lethal injection going painlessly, I feel like that is doing much more good. Now, I know that some people won't want this, and that's great. If you don't want it, then that's fine. It's totally up to you. And I don't think that every physician should have to do this, because I understand that's an immense responsibility, and some people just aren't up for that, and that's okay. So the people that need it, need it. The people that don't. The physicians that want to do it will do it. And I think that it should be legalized for some people who need it. My sources are Breathe it was directed by Andy Serkis. It's the story of Robin Cavendish. Attitudes Toward Euthanasia and Physician-Assisted Suicide by Hans and Marie and Williams. The End of Life, Physician-Assisted Suicide by Lloyd and Cooley. And The Quality of Life in Older People Aging in Place by Van Lerberg. Thank you.